jumped on to say hi for the locals, the local mocals. You know, here we go. Here we go. Sorry about that. It's flinging it all over the place. I see maybe Rich will jump on. We'll see if we need Rich B. Rich B, come to the house, please. We'll see if he jumps on. It's a little late. Like I said, it's, you know. I don't know whose samples these are. Those samples look familiar to anybody? Do they say? Chocolate brown. Stutco. I don't know. We need a Rich B in the house. Tanner's here. Says hi. Tanner, what was on the agenda today? What'd you get done? What'd you get done, buddy? See, Rusty? Rusty says first, but right now it shows Tanner made it, man. Tanner just slid. It's all good in the hood. I hope you guys are doing great. It is, we are past. It's hump day past. I'm a little stoked. Beat by a second. If you're not first, you're last. Oh, I knew Tanner was gonna come in there with that. I knew it. I was hoping Rich was gonna jump in because I got a question for him. I can shoot him a text. But I got a question about the vinyl back. A lot of you guys don't do the vinyl backs. I think we should just outlaw vinyl garage doors. It's either non-insulated or it's steel back. That's it. Because vinyl backs they always get damaged. But I wanted to know with this particular vendor if they come not inserted. I don't know, a good thing or bad thing. Because if they're not inserted, well, you could sell the door as a non-insulated door, or you could sell it as a vinyl back door. That is kind of nice, I think. Let me know if it's not nice. Besides the labor, you got to put them in, which I'm okay. I'm okay with putting vinyl in. I'd rather do it on bottom seal. I tell you that all day. Taking them out would be difficult. I've never taken out a vinyl back insulated door to an insulated door. Can't say I've ever done that. Let's see here. Did I miss on this? Your was fondling my my brute wine. Oh, nice. Rusty, you don't have a brute winer, do you? I were Popeye. Oh. I think you had a brute winer. Or did you get one finally? You did get one, because that's right. You were talking about. Didn't you get a different drill? I've been a little loopy. I'm on the cough syrup. I finally got my hands on. I had to go to the underground to finally get some penicillin, but I got some. I took one today, so hopefully it'll start clearing this up. If anybody's got a good remedy besides penicillin, let me know. But when you got that virus, you know, they're like rest time, and sometimes I just don't got time. I'm impatient. So penicillin it is. Hopefully that'll kill some of the mucus. I did the wake up this morning. You guys ever have that? It's like horrible. Like the whole side, like the nose has got the hard crusties on them, like you're picking them off. Oh, it was bad. It was bad. Drool's coming out of the mouth because you got to breathe through your mouth the whole night, and then your mouth has got that like chalky feel to it. Oh man, it's horrible. I don't know what's going on. Got this sinus thing. Kind of a day off. Ooh, nice. What's this? As a goat says, say hi to me. I don't know what people get. They get off by that kind of stuff. Dave bought one used today. Dang, Rusty, where'd you find it? Where did like marketplace? Was it another garage door? I mean, how do you guys find these used ones? We don't have them up here in the peninsula of Michigan. We don't get that opportunity. We don't have the cross traffic like some of you guys. Bought it new and used it today. Oh, gotcha. Used it. Okay, I gotcha. Bought one, used it today. Oh, sorry, I read it wrong. It was used. Okay, gotcha. What's the brute winder running? Isn't that like a 12, 15, 1,600 bucks? I wonder if they're going to increase their price with the tariffs. We'll see. Increase. Increase, increase, increase. Datsun. Anybody have somebody in their family that used to drive Datsuns? My grandpa used to drive Datsuns. I always remember the dot. Get it? Little putt-putt truck. Brr, 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 you know, a little stick. He liked those little trucks. $1,500. That's not too bad. I figured they went up. I figured they were probably 16, 18. So 15 is not too bad. Evan, man, you missed out. You missed out, Evan. Kevin or Caleb was here. He's I'm assuming that's the Surewinder. It's like this was a Surewang. It's what 450, 450, not 350 like a 350 Chevy. Got the full. What's the one Chevy motor I'm thinking of? 44 is it a 442? 54, 454. Yeah, he's we were having. That's why I'm kind of still here. We were talking about having he was talking about possibly not doing commercial, and he's got some good points. You know, need bigger. You know, need scissor lifts, need bigger ladders, everything bigger. Track, some pretty good valid points. So I was like, that's interesting. You know, and it's funny because I actually had a customer today that came through the back door of the system, and it's a long-time customer, so I don't mind. But he said something about a 14 by 14. It's like on the ground all the way. Okay. And right now our one scissor lift is tied up. I knew another scissor lift was out the door today. I was like, thinking about, I don't know if anybody uses. Does anybody use the genie ladders? Little Giants. I'm sorry, the genies. Little Giant ladders. I'm kind of starting to grow. They're starting to grow on me. I used to think the stupidest things. Ever since that guy in QVC like collapsed it and fell on his face, like, yeah, I'm good, you know. But then my buddy that does roofing has one, and then I've seen a couple, and you know they're nice because the truck real nice. I don't think they're going to be OSHA approved technically, especially around electrical wires and stuff. But boy, they come in handy. So I thought about purchasing one. The one I was going to purchase was the Big Daddy. That thing's like $450. That's probably not even including tax. So, and then of course the customer got back and was like, oh, I don't know how he said it, but he said the spring was in the way of the sensor. I have no idea what that means. But I said, okay, but he said he still needed maintenance on the gate or something. So I just said, okay. Okay, well, I almost just went and spent $450 on you. No, obviously could use it other places, right? Tanner was telling me, about Makita, that's the best right angle drill on the market. The Makita. Yeah, I'm assuming that other company, what's that one that Tanner, is it Martilo, or it's whatever Lowe's. I'm sure they don't have one that's that big. You know what I mean? So they got to go. Makita's like one of the guys got one. He seems to like the Makita, but like he's got a skill saw, and man, that thing's batteries in it. That thing's a beast. I'm like, dude, if I had to like decking all day or rip down some decking or something, I'd probably want that for my tool of choice because it's got 2 big batteries on it. So it's got quite a bit of power. So, what's Evan got here? Probably for me right now, it'd just be easier to have customer deal with renting the scissor lift if I needed one. True. That is true. He got lucky at this job. There was an older scissor lift there, and there was some ladders, so that was kind of nice. But I did tell him, I said, I get, I get where you're coming from with the commercial, because I think now, I don't know, he's probably gone back. He's either been there about 3 or 4 times, and if the customer didn't play ball the first time, he asked for pictures. He did the right thing. This particular customer is a farmer, and the farmer said, well, no, that's the reason I called you, because I'm out in the field, so I just want you to come fix it. Well, so he did that, and it's roughly about and I guess he obviously sent me a picture. It was a horizontal track that was bent like a V up in the air. Looks like obviously a piece of something hit it. So obviously that's the problem. So he fixed that originally, and the farmer guy met back up with him, and come to find out that wasn't the only thing wrong. The farmer was willing enough though to pay him to fix that because there's like 3 doors on the one side of the lane. There's like a 10 by 10 and maybe like two 12 by 12s or something like that. And he had a piece of horizontal that was twisted. So that's what the farmer really wanted to fix because then he could put his garage door down. And I'm like, boy, there was a miscommunication here somehow. You know what I mean? So it would have been so much easier if the customer would have sent pictures. He would have been looking at the pictures and hunting down. So they're getting it figured out. The customer has already paid them for some work, so a good sign. But obviously he is going to have to pay a little bit more, which he's just to be understanding. He just don't know the exact dollar amount yet. So the variables. Just checking out the little thing here. What's the date today? 7th, huh? Service. That one's a far one. About something cool. Ooh. There is something on here that's going to overlap. That's not good. Let Cat know about that one. And then why is that one so far behind? That's the question. Oh, let's see here. Let's go back to these comments. There it is. That's the one, Tanner. He says, right angle joist is the best, but impacts are the best on the market, which is good. I don't have big enough trailer to haul one, and if I have it delivered, the cost of delivery is enormous. So, wow, really? For the lift, wow. Yeah, I don't think a trailer that can pull a scissor lift. It says, but you could, your buddy or your bud, and have it, the rent center drop it off. Makes sense. What's Smith, Austin? It says, sorry, says I just joined. It says, but I have question. Well, you're at the right. Do you have much experience with when you started your business? The industry is pretty open in my area, and I think it could be a great market to get into. Any garage door work? It was Rusty got in here. DA says, hello, bye. Interesting way to put it. So for Austin, I'm just going to be some of the guys in here that comment because there's some pretty great dudes in here. Let me see this. But question. I was kind of talking about this earlier. It's kind of like I'm kind of thinking about like the plant in the tree. When was a good time to plant a tree? Well, 2 years ago. And I was thinking about it today because I was thinking about you guys, and I was thinking, I can't really say. I think the market's kind of soft in certain areas, but it still just never hurts, right? I mean, you got to keep hustling, to keep striving, you got to keep trying. It's kind of like with us, right? We're kind of in a lull for a lot of new stuff, right? But I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, service is pretty blown up on here. So things kind of come and go, and but I think Rusty's got a good, heavy, if you can start out small. That's why I tell a lot of guys that residential is the easiest. If you can do some openers, or you can start getting friends or family, so you can start getting your hands on garage door openers and understanding what photo eyes do and just the sensors, and watch videos. Talk to this channel, the community, myself. There's a lot of good resources out there, and it's Mr. Evans doing it, Mr. Caleb's doing it. These are young that are starting, and every time it's muscle memory, right? Like I was like Caleb today, I said your skin starts getting thicker and thicker, and you start learning what to say yes to and what to say no to, and what you want to do and what you don't want to do. So biggest thing is just but you might be surprised. It's kind of one of those things, like I think there's a good saying out there, right? Like, you ever notice, like, when you buy a car, you never really pay attention to. Maybe your mom buys a car, right? But now you see that car everywhere. That's kind of how it's like business, right? Like you might not see stuff, but once you start it and you start, now you see the signs, you see the vehicles, you know what to look for. You're like, there's a tube on that truck, there's a ladder, there's a door section on there, there's track on there, there's a torsion tube. It's just kind of funny. So, there might be, but you might be right. Like I said, it can't hurt, but it just also depends too how far away people. That's one thing you got to consider. Don't forget to also make sure you're paying attention to your vendors. What are you going to have for vendors? You'd be like think about like if you try to open a garage door business, say in the middle of the desert, there's nobody around. Where are you going to get your supplies? Or things like that. Indianapolis, woo woo, what's up? A great market. He says I have not. I have not, but mechanically inclined, common sense. There you go. That's about the basics right there. Mechanically common sense. Would like to start in residential to get my feet wet. I've been watching tons of videos to see what to expect. I think just to kind of comment on that a little bit, when I first got into it, the big thing for me too is, like I said, everybody's situation is different. I still think to this day right now, if I'm starting out, just having kind of a generic house payment, maybe a car payment, normal food and stuff, maybe a wife or a kid. My brain right now, I still sit at like I'd probably want minimum 30,000. That's just what my brain goes to. I'd want minimum of 30,000. You could probably do a little less. 60 would be great. But the thing I ran into when we first started is, I actually went into it for about maybe a year. So I can't quite remember. But then I had to keep doing it, but I lost my business partner because the economy tanked out. And then we had a vendor that didn't pay us, or a customer that didn't pay us $10,000. So the problem is you're trying to pay yourself. Then you get a customer that wants, one door is okay, right? But then a customer wants 2 doors or 3 doors, or you get that new builder that comes in and he's like, can you 10 doors, right? And you're like, like, how am I going to fund this? There's ways to mitigate that, half down and stuff like that. But it's just money go out so fast. And then, depending on your equipment and that, right? Like I got sucked into that vortex where all of a sudden now it's like now you're sitting there and you're like, well, you're talking to the wife at night, babe, I got to get that new truck. The truck's breaking down and needs brakes and needs a rear end, we got to get the new trailer, cause we got the business, we got, so you got to kind of watch that. And then especially if you start traveling businesses and you're not paying attention to the numbers, that can eat you up too. So like I said, but if you're starting out, you got a good demographic, that's really helpful. If you got a lot of population, that's even better. You know what I mean? Because now it's great. But typically if there's not much of a garage door companies around, there's probably a reason for that. It's kind of like they're starting to sneak up in our neck of the woods where there's another city that's way better, but they're starting to sneak up our way a little bit. Because our outskirts are growing really good. It says apply for job. Russ got a local. I would only be willing to work for a company on weekends. Or start with your comfortable with and see if you can build it further. That's what Evan's got. It takes time. It normally takes a lot of time. I think Evan's probably a good one to weigh in on this because he's got a full time and he's doing it part time, and it's not like that. When you got customers and it's gonna basically make the same amount of your wages or double. Yeah, it takes time. It's like building that snowball. It takes time. I'm not gonna find many companies that will be looking for weekend. Yeah, weekend is what's tough about it is one thing I ran into with guys working the weekends is that you typically, for me, you're already busting your hiney, and then the weekend comes, and it's like you finally go, you know what? I'm going to take the weekend off. I can afford it. I'm going to take the weekend off. And the last thing you want is somebody driving a truck or running into a problem, especially inexperienced. That always is a bummer. That are calling you on the weekend, and it's like, hey, I'm on the side of the road, or hey, I got a flat tire, or hey, the fuel card's not working, or hey, the garage door has a dent and the customer's upset. What do you want? And you're just like, dude, it's the weekend. Like, I want to have it off. So unless you find somebody that's young, maybe starting out, like with me, it was Sunday. So I would have definitely taken an extra set of hands. Freeze is here. What's up, Freeze, everyone? Rusty says, what I'm afraid of, a family and full-time job making nearly six figures. He says, it's stressful and I do not have the freedom that I want. Ooh, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I definitely do believe, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't think I've touched on this, but I do think when you're a younger man, it is easier. I really do. I see this a little bit through some family members. They got family now and kids, and it's really weird that I kind of think about it now that I'm over 40. Not that it's impossible, but I how do you? It's like I'm smarter and wiser, but it's also like I'm definitely not as I don't bounce back as fast as I used to, right? Got a little more aches and creaks and flexible as I used to be. So, I think the best really though, like I said, if you could do after hours or weekends and start slow, just like it's that whole planting that tree, right? Just get that tree going. I mean, even if you got to do, and try not to invest. Some guys will, vouch against this, but I'm always for the man that's trying to put food on the table, right? Screw the rest of it. I don't care about the government. I don't care about that. I don't care because they sure as hell don't care about you. You know what I mean? So, do what you do. If you can do a weekend, a little side, you can do on a weekend or something. Tell them you're just doing it for cash. Tell them you'll this or that. Some people don't care. They'll get a better price. And you can just start slowly until that thing builds up enough. And maybe you just boom, it kicks off, and you're like, "Wow, there's a huge demand," and you got some money sitting in the bank, and maybe it's something the kiddos can either help you or whatever. It takes time. It's very stressful. I know. I've dealt with it through the wife-a-tron when she was getting out of her very old job a long time ago, and there's just a lot of man. It's scary. Austin, would you trade six figures for peace of mind? Yeah, and plus, the other thing sometimes you got to lower your living standards. That's a difficult one. I mean, some people don't want to do that. There were certain things I had to sacrifice. I mean, to basically be kind of semi-retired. And as you're trying to grow other things, it's tough. It's tough. Larry, please. I'm having a hard time getting into from live. He says it gets laggy. Do you have this issue? Let me check to make sure I'm off my Wi-Fi. Sometimes Wi-Fi is going to be more stressful in the beginning. Freeze says stream is working fine for me, so it's good. I turned it off, so hopefully if it's on the Wi-Fi, it won't do its weird thing. You have a guaranteed income now. You can start a business, but how are you gonna get customers? I have multiple builder connections and invest into Google SEO and social media. For the most part, the builders, they're not typically, if it's like home builders, they're not just boom, boom, boom. They got to have it. They normally got a little bit of a lag in there, so you could definitely easily do it after hours or on the weekends. You know what I mean? They can wait. If they're really ready on a Tuesday, there's no reason they can't wait till Saturday. You know what I mean, to get something like that. So you might have something there. How much upfront money do you have to get started? Young and willing to take a pay cut to build something that I can grow into for the future if I desire. And I had paid for 250 that I would try to utilize a work truck. Paid for 250. I'm assuming that's like an F-250. Would you be okay with marketing under 50K for a few years before you started making real profits? Those are some hard numbers. To add a trailer and stock springs, hinges, supplies needed, complete service calls prior to starting anything. I don't get too, I think if you can warm up to a garage door company, that's a huge help. Because like there's got to be more out there like myself, but like if I get somebody off the street or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to help out. You know what I mean? They need something, this or that. So if you could find that way, you don't have to, because you kind of like you start growing over time, right? You start learning. Like when you order that spring, maybe you order a pair, or you order that track. The track comes in a pair, so now you got an extra. You know what I mean? Like it's not really too much. I mean, there are some certain things, winding bars, some rollers are nice, some basic stuff, but you don't really have to go too hog wild. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather because I think Papa Tony was talking about this. Every demographic's a little different. And so once you start learning what size springs are in your area, or what size doors, or maybe you got to have some struts, where can you get struts? That's the big thing. It's not so much about, I don't think, having a huge warehouse of stuff. It's just figuring out where to get the resources from. You know what I mean? If you got a garage door company, and I'll sell to you direct or whatever, those are important things. So just something to keep in mind, you know what I mean? And if they're close and they're, now it is probably a little more challenging because after hours or weekends, but like I said, but you can do it. You can do it. You can always stockpile stuff. It's not the end of the world to not do it. Making over 100K. Rich B's in the house. Rich, I was talking about you earlier. I was wondering if you could let me know on your door manufacturer, when you do a vinyl back, do you have to put the inserts in? Because they kind of have it separated on the line item. And I don't know if that was normal for vinyl back. They just come separate and then you install them. Just let me know when you get a chance. I'll find out tomorrow. They came fast. So we are a supplier to the military. Oh man, I need a supplier to the military. Can you get me like a heavy net, like heavy cargo net? I want some heavy cargo nets. Used is fine. Oh man. I just asked around with word of mouth. Eric's guy says away if you're getting started. He says after that, just find some people who experience in the trade to teach you, then you're good to go. Agreed. Eric says finding someone to show you will save you years. Yeah, and I mean, but the thing is too is now we got this wonderful thing called YouTube University, and so you can learn so much after hours if you're watching videos and learning how other people are doing things. It's amazing. Are repairs or installs the most profitable in the field or residential? That's a good question. I'm sure some guys are gonna. All kind of depends. I think that's kind of a loaded one. Depends on price you charge. What do you plan to buy? Doors or openers? Or yeah, where do you buy it? What does the average service call invoice for what your profit margins? Oh, Rusty will eat this up. That's his department, man. It's different in every area. Yep, ours can range anywhere from 20 to 30%, on the profit margins. And, a service call, I think the resis right now are 140, 145. So, and ours are on the higher end. So, um, some are still probably at 85 to 120, different in our every areas. And once I get a quote on business insurance, I'd like to move forward with LLC EIN number, try to get set up with vendors. It's not bad. It's not bad. Business insurance. See, now here's the thing, right? I think Rusty would probably disagree with this, right? But here's the thing, I'm not saying that's not a bad idea. That's a great idea. But I'm just telling you, I got guys right now that I'm in connection with that are running without the insurance. I'm not saying it's right? But I like that they're getting their feet wet. And they're also still working on like the EIN number and things like that. Because the problem is, and it's like I said, I'm not saying it's bad, but if you got money to burn, then burn the money. You know what I mean? That's fine. But for me, right, I'm a slow roller, and so I'd rather start working on because everything, like I always talk about, right, everything's got blowback. Ah, my eye. So you're gonna do something, right? You think, oh, I can just spit money out at Google and they're gonna be my problem solver. Bullshit. Like you're gonna have to show you unlocking a truck. You're gonna have to have a picture. They're gonna take so many days to validate you. They're gonna shut down your account because you're not technically a legit business in their eyes. You don't have a building. All that there's just you just don't know what it's gonna be. But right, the insurance company's got it made because now every month they're getting their stuff. And to this day, we've still never used our insurance. We've never had an accident. We've had a few little minors, this and that. But when it was a little scratch of paint or something, this and that, we took care of it. And it was for a couple $100. Like we've talked about, common sense, but that's not too common anymore. So if there's a vehicle inside the garage or something, you can move the vehicle out, then move the vehicle out. But like I said, I'm not encouraging anybody to listen to my advice. I'm just entertainment only. I just want you to make money. And the rest is easy. That's the easy part, in my opinion. So it's just something. That's Uncle Dave's advice. Take it for what it is. Not legal advice. Don't sue me, bro. But so it's just something to think about, right? Because we got, like the EIN number, I can tell is a big hurdle for a lot of people because let's say like Service Spring. But see, far as I know, you don't need insurance to have the EIN number. Service Spring just needs it put in their system. They're going to want to probably see maybe like 3 other vendors they're using. So that stuff all takes time, right? Because you start, and it could even be just a lumber yard that you're using that you're buying stuff from, and you build a reputation with them. You can put them down. And they might call them, they might not. I don't know if they've ever called them, honestly, but I do have many vendors, so I would like to stock the common pieces. Brenda says hi. Hi, Brenda. No, they're installed. Okay. Thanks, Rich. Brenda, hello. And GA, I've learned a ton already. Good. Austin, how many door businesses are within 30 miles of you? Maybe 5. That's not too bad. If that, only 2 show up on Google Ads. I searched the Secretary of State page and found a few more near us. Austin, for us, we are charging, it says $475 for billable, made 37. What do we got here? This thing's popping up here. Profit last month, always in the 30s, average ticket size around 15. Surplus store used to be great. The good old Army Navy surplus, they got the nets. What about getting product from Menards in the beginning? Yep, There's, and it sounds like what was it with Austin here? He's got, if he's got a bunch of vendors around, um, he's sitting pretty good. So Menards just kind of a cherry on top. I don't know if Menards goes down that far. They probably do, but I mean, sure he's got Lowe's or Home Depot. But we know how this stuff can go. There is some certain things like maybe 16-foot or 18-foot struts. There's just some generic stuff that's kind of nice to have, some chunks of track, all that good stuff. But I just don't like, in my opinion, I don't know why I feel this way, right? I think it's probably because I did the same thing, right? And when I started out, and like I said, I'm not saying this stuff hurts. It doesn't hurt, right? It's nice to have a nice shirt, right? It's nice to wear a decent pair of boots. It's nice to drive it up in a decent vehicle, right? But there's all these calculations that really kind of fit the part, right? You drive up in a too nice of a vehicle. Well, obviously this guy charges too much, or you drive up in some kind of Cadillac sedan. Or a Jaguar. I don't think this guy, like, what's he doing in a Jaguar? Is he a real estate agent? I don't think he's really the handyman or the garage door guy. There's all these kind of weird balances. But my biggest thing, what my point is the one thing I have found across the board with employees, with secretaries, stuff in general, it is hard as hell to get the phone to ring. That's your biggest challenge right here. Get this puppy to ring. Get customers to know who you are. Get customers to call you. That is your biggest challenge. I still to this day have not gone to one residential job, and I never had anybody ever question me about, do you have insurance? Now I know when I see all the posts online through Facebook and that about roofing, oh my gosh, or handyman, that's always the big thing. And I'm not saying it's not important. It's good to have. It's good to have. But as you're starting out, how do you get the phone to ring? Do you know how to deal with people? Do you know how to deal with the blowbacks? Do you know how to deal with the issues and problem solve? And you'll start, everything just starts coming, right? Because you're like, wow, I keep running into 218 springs. I really, you know what? I'm going to order some on Amazon. I'm going to order 2 sets this time. That way I got a set. And, it's not just a matter of like, because you got, a surplus, because here's the thing, my opinion only. All you got to do for business in a nutshell, it's not that the phone's going to ring like crazy, right? But it'll start sprinkling around. All you got to do is be the cheap guy. And people love cheap. They will come running to cheap. Not saying it's right. You will get burned out. You won't be making as much profit. But you want the word to spread, right? It's like I still haven't gone to Walmart and the parking lot's dead, right? People love Walmart. You know how it is. I know you shop at Walmart. You know what I mean? You go to AutoZone and you shop on Amazon. Why? Because it's cheap. That's why. And so people love, hey man, this guy, he'll install an opener for $65, man. I went and bought it. There's just so many things you can do. Whoops. Battery said it was 9. Stop for a second. But I'm just saying, you can blow up that way. You'll burn yourself out and you won't make what you want, but that's when you can start kind of just like the insurance, right? It's just like we all know, right? If I call my different insurance company, I'm going to find a cheaper rate. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Right? But then it starts kind of going up $1 every month and $1 here and a $5 here and a $10. It's kind of like when I always got my cell phone, right? You go in there, I'm freaking broke as a kid. I'm like, how much is my cell phone going to be? It's just $20. It's actually on the sign out there. It's $19.99. I'm like, it's just $20, right? Just $20. That's what it's going to be, sir. I go home a month later, my bill comes in, right? It's $21.91. I'm like, those sons of, you freaking lied to me. And then the next month it's like 22. You're like, what the? It's fine. I'll just pay it. And then it goes up like another 50 cents or something. It's just the same thing in the business, right? You're cheap. Next guy you do, your buddy got it for 20 or 65. I'm 66. I had to raise my prices. It's $1. Are you going to cry over $1, you baby? And you just do the same thing. Genie. We don't have Menards. It's just Home Depot and Lowe's, but it's definitely an option. He says brands are obsolete, no goes. Wayne Dalton, Rusty's got. Yeah, I can't really disagree with him on that too much. Genie, some may disagree. Genie works. Well, I can't say that's right. If you buy the box store Genies, yeah, not a fan of those either. Genie is cheaper than others. It's just the box stores. Like, let me show you real quick, just why we're here and got people asking. You know, if you buy the professional line, come on, light, turn on. So, like, this is considered a professional line up here. It's going to be hard to see that light. But the rail is what really makes it key, right? This one is a solid rail. No piece together, solid rail. That's what makes this beautiful. This is the professional line, right? So here's our rails for them, too. Right here, these are a solid C-channel. These are really nice. You're going to get a piece together rail ones, which I hear are worse than even the Chamberlains at the box store. So if you're going to buy box store, I would recommend Chamberlain, in my opinion, which just remember Chamberlain is basically LiftMaster. LiftMaster is just a Cadillac, and LiftMaster has more of a solid rail. So like obviously like these ones right here would be solid rail for LiftMaster. So it's not pieced together, it's a solid rail. So they're just a little nicer. But the Genies, for whatever reason, they're pieced together rail. There is a lot of complaints about them. So I definitely, when I have customers, I stick away from them. I just go more with the commercial line Genies. But I like the Genies on the residential. That's just me. I think we got about 50-50 up there. They got a few LiftMaster and Genies. And I guess there's a few more Genies over here that the guys got for stock. So they must be kind of still hanging on to the Genies. I know they had some problem with RPM sensors. I kind of got capped a little bit in the tizzy on that, so they got a little mad at him about it. Home Depot low, torsion tubes. Those are kind of important things that the stores won't carry. Build a brand in the beginning, he says, and in 20 years you will ring, he says, but in the beginning it's all word of mouth. Are you in, Ruster or Rich has got? He says customer service is what I deal with now. So like